Hey guys, welcome to this special episode of Footy Banter and Insights. Today we're going to touch upon a very important issue which has cropped up over the last international break. This is about Chelsea's ownership and the conflict which is being faced, which is essentially causing a civil war inside the club. So what I'll do is I'll open the discussion to the two Chelsea fans here today, Ishan and Pratik. Uh, Guys, what are your views on this entire saga? Can you give us a brief and let us know your views on the same? Ishan, you can take it forward.
Okay. So as per my knowledge, when Roman Abramovich sold the club to consortium between Todd Boehly and Clearlake Capital, there was a clause inserted that they can't sell their shares, so that they had the lock-in of 10 years. So as per the reports, 60% of the club is being owned by Clearlake Capital. So their founders are mainly Pedal Ekbali, and 40% of Chelsea is owned by Todd Boehly and his some other associates. So, as per the recent knowledge, both of them, the relationship has been broken between both of them, and it's not been great. And both of the parties are in the negotiation stage, wherein both of them want to buy out the other party. But Clear Lake has been adamant that they won't be selling any shares of theirs, and so has been Todd Boehly. So, as per the reports, the first couple of transfer windows was handled by Todd Boehly, but after that, Bedad Ekbali has had a major role in transfer business of Chelsea. So Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart, who are the sporting directors of Chelsea, had prepared a 30-minute presentation on why Mauricio Pochettino should be sacked at the end of the last season. And Todd Boehly wanted to keep Mauricio Pochettino, but eventually had to succumb to the pressure created by Clear Lake Capital, and hence Pochettino was sacked. But all these are rumors and not an official word from the respective parties. So we need to be cognizant on how true these rumors can be.
So what we know so far is that, like you rightly said, Clearlake Capital have the majority share. I believe 61.9% is their present
Yes, 60 odd percent.
share. Yeah. And Todd Boehly has 13% in his individual capacity, and including some other influential investors, there are about 25% odd, which is there. But the main issue which is there right now is the direction of the club. I think Todd Boehly was very clear when he got in that he wanted to increase the capacity of Stamford Bridge. He wanted to improve the entire stadium. He wanted to get more match day revenue. Whereas
He
Iqbali,
wanted bigger stars also, someone like a Ronaldo or
yeah,
something.
I think that's where he initially signed Sterling as well, right? Sterling and Koulibaly. And then based on let's say the lack of success of those signings and the higher contracts which have been given and the higher wage bills which were there, I think Clear Lake got more involved, and Iqbali he kind of got, let's say, more power over a period of time. And right now it's a clear case of boardroom drama and civil war. So even when things are going well on the pitch, Chelsea is someone who always has something going in the back end. And this is a very important juncture for the club because either both the partners and the major investors, they kind of go in the same direction because you can't have two drivers in the same car. You can't really work with that sort of a model. Um, I would also ask Vishesh to share his comments. As an Arsenal fan, what is your view on the entire saga? Do you have any additional information about this?
No additional information. I think you guys have got at least the statistics spot on from what I've heard. But I just feel that the general direction that Chelsea are in now, in like just the last transfer window, is a lot better, in my opinion, compared to just the chaos that was going on before that. I mean, signing Aubameyang as well, it was a joke, in my opinion, and it was like a disaster. Um, and I mean, you can see that now, right? Like getting rid of Sterling and Lukaku is turning out to be such a big headache. compared to like the youngsters they're signing right now, I don't completely understand the long 9-year contracts that are being handed out, even to promising youngsters like Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson also, I think so, has just signed a 9-year contract. That still doesn't make sense to me as much, but still, like, they are not splurging cash, and the wages of at least these youngsters are very low right now. So the direction that they are under right now, under Clearlake, is seemingly a lot better than what they were initially under Todd Boehly. So I think they're on the right track, much better than what they were initially.
So on the subject of the transfers and the longer contracts, the only plausible explanation is that based on amortization and based on the overall purview that the club is under with regard to PSR, it actually helps the club make more signings over the longer run. So let's say someone like a Cole Palmer, he signed for, let's say, 7 years last season on a 40 million transfer fee, or maybe a 35 million fixed transfer fee with other variables involved. And when you extend his contract, his amortization per year kind of goes down, which allows the club to make more signings over the longer term.
No, you can't do that anymore. I think after this entire loophole that Chelsea so visibly exploited, I think EPL has put a cap on amortization. I think it's 5 years, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, but that happened after this transfer window.
Right,
so
but then
Cole Palmer was signed before,
but giving them longer contracts now don't make sense. He was already on, I think so, on a long contract, and then extending it further to give him like a 9-year contract is not helping the amortization.
Okay.
I think one of the reasons why they changed the contract of Cole Palmer is because he was on a very low wage, and because of the performance that he had last year, they changed his wage structure as well when they renewed the contract for Cole Palmer. Still, I don't understand why 9 years, like you said. It doesn't make sense. For financial fair play reasons, if that's not applicable anymore, then I think it's a risky bet for Nicholas Jackson at least. But from what I've heard and what I've read, it was Todd Boehly to whom Roman Abramovich wanted to sell the club to, and it was his vision that he wanted us to sell the club to. You can say that because of his active inclusion throughout the start of last season and since before he has joined, the club has not performed really well. But if you look at the vision of Clearlake Capital as well, I'm not sure what direction they are going in, because from what I've seen, their primary goal here is to trade players, just how you trade stocks in a stock market. That's why there are so many young players being added to the club every single year. A lot of signings have also not made sense to me, and I think it has been approved by Clearlake. You can say if we sign Pedro Neto, then what is the point of signing Sancho, right? If you already have Nkunku and Nicholas Jackson, then what is the point of getting another striker? And if you're doing so, then who are you going to release? So I think eventually, if everyone is going to be fit and ready to play, what is going to be the squad for every single game? It's very chaotic. That's why I think, and even on the fan side, from what I've seen online and what I see on YouTube and everywhere else, it is fans primarily want Todd Boehly to be a part of the club instead of Iqbali, because of what he's doing exactly that I mentioned earlier. Let's see what direction it takes. But
that's
personally,
basically PR. I don't think you should take much of account into fans' opinion or something. That's basically PR, which would be involved. I also seen so many posts supporting Boehly or something like that.
Majority of majorly I've seen Todd Boehly.
So just from a broader perspective, right? I think owning an EPL club in a joint partnership is always tricky. It's always going to be tricky because there's a financial partner and there's an operational partner, right? You saw that at Arsenal as well, where it was Kroenke and Usmanov, and things were not going well at that point, correct? United have gone the same way as well. Let's see how that progresses. It's still early days. I see issues with Chelsea as well. I think having that joint ownership structure in EPL is not the correct way to go about things, because someone has his money on the line, whereas someone is just looking at it from an operational perspective. So the alignment in vision is very different between the two partners. right? And the same was the case when it was Usmanov and Kroenke was like, why do I invest all the money when Usmanov has 40% stake in the company, approximately, right? So that's always going to be an issue from a broad business perspective, according to me. And I think the sooner they resolve this, the better it will be for the club. And yeah, I mean, it's a very tricky patch for Chelsea. Leaving aside all the points that you guys have mentioned, which are most of them are spot on about the transfers and everything. Um, Sorting out the ownership issue is extremely critical for any club. For them, like, see, they need to have a proper vision, correct? And it has to be one person's vision. It cannot be like a mix kind of a thing going on at any club over here, because there's a lot to lose and there's a lot of pressure from the fans.
Even from Maresca's perspective, when he joined the club, right, there were certain things said to him that he had to agree to when it comes to transfer policies, right? Let's say that since the start of the takeover, most of the transfer decisions have been made by the management. You can say 100% of them if you want, right? Now, from Maresca's perspective, that there were certain things said to me and certain things committed to me in a certain way, and the ownership is breaking down right now. How am I supposed to create visions for this club going down the line? What am I going to do during the December transfer window as well if he wants to add new players to the team, right? So I think it's very chaotic. They need to sort this out as soon as possible. Either Todd Boehly leaves or either Clearlake leaves. But we need to find a solution as soon as possible, because at the end of the day, from an overall perspective, it is going to hamper the performance of the players and the performance of the team on the pitch. And that's what we are here for. We are here to see Chelsea win trophies, to see Chelsea what it was 10, 15 years back. So let's hope it's resolved as soon as possible.
I think a resolution will take a lot of time, because when a club is valued over 2 billion and serious amounts of money are at stake, I don't think anyone wants to kind of let go of their piece of the pie. And I think after a while it becomes an ego issue as well,
Yes.
wherein everyone wants to kind of have the upper hand. So I think I don't see this getting resolved. I think the best way to look at it would be an amicable compromise for the time being, and take it to the December and January window. And then maybe after that, if in the off season, if things can get resolved in a better manner, I think that is the best case scenario at this moment in time.
It will be tough on a whole for Chelsea to progress as a club if this is not resolved. I feel like that's just my individual point of view. Um, so I think I completely get your point that these are all tricky situations, egos come into the picture, but eventually, as Pratik mentioned, it's the club that will be impacted. The fans will be impacted. I think the player performances, the manager performances is going to be impacted. So I think it will be better for Chelsea if this is resolved sooner rather than later.
And because we have some Chelsea fans here, what did you think about the previous Chelsea ownership? Pratik, I think you were following football deeply back then.
Uh, so do you mean Roman Abramovich?
Yes,
What?
of course.
I miss him, man. Um, I think uh, I think as an owner, as a manager, there's this standard of Pep Guardiola or Alex Ferguson, which is set. I think Roman set the standard on the ownership level, which I think is really hard to break for anyone. He was very direct, on point. If things worked out, good. If it doesn't work out, doesn't matter if you're Jose Mourinho, whoever you are, you're fired, right? Doesn't matter what kind of a big player you're out of the club. So growing up, I'm used to that kind of a structure. Seeing managers being their contracts being terminated left, right, and center constantly. But the difference between back then and now is that that approach was very result oriented. Every single time that a change was made by Roman, it led to a positive result. And the difference now is that it's just out of desperation. And that's it. Because the fans are putting the pressure, because the manager is not performing well, that's why these things are happening. So every single time that the new ownership has created a vision for the club. 12 months later, the vision is different. How is that going to work out? Right? I have a feeling that maybe I could be wrong, but I think Todd Boehly could eventually be able to drive our club in the right direction, hopefully. If there's not so much chaos, if there's not so much struggle for power, because there should be always in any company, in any country or any kingdom, there should be one leader, right? There should be one person who takes care of things. And right now, what's happening is absolutely not right. But I miss Roman, and I hope. I really wish that the war didn't happen. What is the connection? I mean, it's so indirect. Like we never expected something like this to happen at all. So let's see. Maybe after the war ends, he comes back in, he swoops, kicks both of them out, and then you never know what happens.
Very, very wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so final views on this, guys. Any final comments?
Yeah, just quick comment, right? I think when Roman's era had started and when he got in Mourinho, I think even till like the last Champions League winning squad, they had really experienced players and stalwarts at the club, which is completely missing right now. And I think even when the managers used to change frequently at Chelsea, the player dynamics sort of dictated that. Like if the players lost trust in the manager, if there was any unrest, the manager was changed. But that squad, the key part of the squad, right from Terry, Lampard, and Drogba, Malouda, and all of those guys, Mikel, and then after that Azpilicueta, and then Thiago Silva, Rudiger, Kante. So all of these, and of course Hazard. So these stalwarts, none of them are there right now in the squad, right? So one, there has to be stability now at the other end. Like you have to now have a stable manager and then help him build a squad and have a stable squad. So there has to be stability at some end right now.
Very, very interesting comment for sure.
By the way, I've heard that Roman has not been paid yet. His funds are still stuck 2 billion or whatever the amount is.
It's with the UK. Yeah, it's with the UK government, right?
Yeah.
Because
he was never going to get the money. It is going to go in an NGO apparently. So yeah.
Great, guys. Thanks for watching, everyone. As usual, smash the like button, subscribe, share, and do let us know your thoughts in the comment section. And see you guys in the next video.